Hello everybody, Flik here and welcome to another Warhammer 40k battle report. I was about to say with dog cameo, but I think the dog's gotten bored already and is walking away. Isn't that right, Maya? She's just staring. Anyway, what we're going to do this time is the same two armies as my first ever 8th edition battle report. However, I'm going to call it Dark Imperium Plus, because we're doing what was in the Dark Imperium starter set, plus a few more additional models, which brings the point values up to roughly 1,150 each, more or less, give or take a few points either way. So it's going to be the same board as well, but we'll play on the different table edges, similar mission type, etc. Again, just kind of learning, and then for next time I'll bring in a new army to mix things up a little bit. So here is the Primaris Space Marine side, again like last time being led by the Captain in Gravis armour. I'll probably have to turn the light on to get some more light after this, because I just noticed it's very, very dark. Accompanied by two lieutenants, the Primaris Ancient with the standard banner, two squads of intercessors equipped as they come, one squad of inceptors who this time will be deep striking onto the field, because we're going to test out those rules. The Hellblaster squad, again as they come, and then the two additions. It was originally going to be a Rhino, and then I remembered that Primaris Marines can't go in Rhinos. So instead we're having a Whirlwind tank, standard loadout, so Stormbolter and the standard missile type that I can't quite remember offhand. And then a Dreadnought. Dreadnoughts aren't allowed to have autocannons anymore, I think, so we're just going to pretend that the autocannon this one has is a twin-linked las cannon. So twin-linked las cannon, missile launcher, Dreadnought. I like Dreadnoughts. Let's see how they do in 8th edition. And here is the Death Guard from last time, plus, again, some additions to bring the points values up. Still being led by the Lord of Contagion here. This time I'm going to try and remember his AoE ability, Nurgle's Rock, because I did not remember that last time. Other HQ is the Plague Caster. Bell Guy, I was going to call him Bell End, but I decided that wasn't a good nickname, so this is Bell Guy. 7 Plague Marines, equipped as they are seen. A squad of 20 Poxwalkers. They were actually meant to be a single squad. I thought in the starter set they were counting as 2 squads of 10. They're not meant to, so it's a squad of 20, all a big clump together. And then the Fetid Bloat Drone, again equipped with the standard loadout. And then the additional things included, we have ourselves a Hell Brute, equipped with a multi-melter and its standard fist thing. We have a Rhino, which will be carrying the Plague Marines into battle, equipped with a Havoc Launcher and Stormbolter. A squad of Nurglings who might be infiltrating onto the deployment zone or no man's land come the start of the match. And 4 Chaos Spawn, which I don't think are quite as good in 8th edition in my opinion, because they've lost having to take Mark of Nurgle for an extra toughness point. We'll see though. So that brings both sides roughly on par points wise. Let's go take a look at setup, deployment and all that other good stuff. Here we are at deployment, and unless the Primaris Marines can roll for seizing the initiative, the Death Guard will be going first. Alternate setting up units after a roll off, and here we have it. We're doing the long table edges, so it's 12 and 12 for deployment, and then a 24-inch no man's land, then the enemy team's deployment. So we have the Hellbrute here, with the Bell Guy behind him, the 20 Poxwalkers, the Plague Caster is hiding in this building. The Bloat Drone is behind him as well because he can fly, so he can just fly over it as he wants to. The Kill Spawn are there, and across the way, right at the far edge, is the Rhino filled with Plague Marines. The Nurglings opted, they have a rule where they can deploy out of their their allied deployment zone if they like. They moved up ever so slightly because there isn't a lot of line of sight blocking terrain in the middle of the map. Going to need to invest in some more line of sight blocking things. Also on the Primaris Marine side, I forgot to move the Whirlwind where it's going, so there we go, just quickly do that. But they've set up one Intercessor squad here with 1 Lieutenant, the Whirlwind, the Captain, the Ancient, the other Lieutenant, the other Intercessor squad, and then over here the Hellblasters have taken control of this building, gives them a very good line of sight. The Dreadnought has opted to deploy here, kind of watching the left flank for where the Rhino is coming from. And as for stuff not on the map to start with, the Inceptors, they can come down at the end of any of the Space Marine movement phases. The Plague Marines are in the Rhino, and the Lord of Contagion, in a slightly cowardly move, has opted to not be on the table and will teleport down at the start of one of the Death Guard turns. So that's how things are going to look at the start as I try and lift this, while also I'm trying to keep the camera more steady based on feedback of the first battle report. Also, thank you for clearing up how assault works. So if assaults happen here, it should be handled correctly. Trying to remember all the rules, etc. Other than that, Warlord traits are going to stay the same as last time, just to keep things simple. Psychic powers, etc, etc, all the same. So the Space Marine Warlord has +1 wound and he can ignore wounds on a 6+. And the Death Guard one was... his Disgustingly Resilient is 1 better. But anyway, will the Primaris Marines steal initiative? They rolled a 1, so no they will not. We will start with Death Guard turn 1. End of Death Guard turn 1, and the Death Guard mostly slowly sauntered up the field here. Most things advancing because they don't have guns that currently reach. So the Nurglings advanced, the Bloat Drone advanced, the Chaos Spawn advanced. I assume vehicles can advance since there's no going flat out rule anymore, so the Rhino has also advanced, he's over there. Ignore the SNES mini box. The zombies, I actually forgot to roll for their advanced move. They're fine where they are, I suppose. Bell Guy, slightly behind. The Malignant Plaguecaster, he moved slightly so that he could cast Miasma of Pestilence on the affected Bloat Drone, which means -1 to hit for anything that's shooting at the Bloat Drone next turn. The Lord of Contagion did not opt to teleport down this turn. The Plague Marines didn't get out the Rhino, so the only shooting to happen was the Hellbrute here. Hopefully this is in focus because it's harder to tell. I'm using a handle thing to try and get things in focus. Took a shot at the only thing that was in range of the Multi-Mawa, which was the Intercessor squad over here. 1 wound achieved very easily. 1 wound on this poor Primaris Marine, which does d6 damage. It did 5 wounds. He is very dead. But that was the only casualty for the whole turn. So that was Death Guard turn 1. As always, they kind of need to get in there before they start dealing damage. So we'll move on to Primaris Space Marines turn 1. End up Primaris Space Marine turn 1, and they have bloodied the nose of the Death Guard. Both Intercessor squads moved up ever so slightly just to kind of form a firing line. The Lieutenants moved with them to give them rerolls to wounds. The Captain and Gravis armour also moved up to be adjacent to this building. The Ancient moved a little bit just around here to try and spread his benefit to the nearby Marines. Hellblasters obviously stayed put in the building. The biggest thing that happened, though, was that the Hellblasters themselves in this building and the Dreadnought with his missile launcher and twin-linked las cannon all fired into the Rhino. The Dreadnought actually only did 4 wounds because it rolled quite badly. However, the Hellblasters overcharged, didn't kill any of them, thankfully, because there's a chance that they can kill themselves when they do that. Did exactly 10 wounds in total between the two of them. The Rhino did not explode, but it is destroyed, so that's also first blood, I believe, because the Rhino counts as a unit, I think. I'll double check at the end, or you can tell me. And the Plague Marines had to file out, and they filed out on that side to try and not give them firing lines from other units. Also worth pointing out, the Hellblasters were within range to receive the reroll to shoots from the Captain. They were not in range to receive the reroll to wounds from the Lieutenant. Had that have happened, it would have been much more than 10 wounds. Other than that, the Whirlwind here, right there, barely in focus, opted to shoot at the Bloat Drone despite the fact that it had the magic cast on it to give it a bit of a harder chance to hit. Managed to do 1 wound in the end with the Vengeance Launcher, Disgustingly Resilient, saved it from taking any damage so it's entirely unhurt. The Intercessor squad that's here, 2 of which could rapid fire, shot into, as well as the Lieutenant behind them, shot into the poor Nurglings, killed 1 base outright, dealt 1 wound to the other base. They did not do morale, I'll do that off camera and tell you if it matters. The Inceptors did not jump down this turn, but that is the Primaris Marines getting first blood again in the form of the Rhino, assuming it counts. But I think, oh, also one last thing. This Intercessor squad shot into the Chaos Spawn, very ineffective shooting, dealt 1 wound to this guy here. He has, sorry, 2 wounds, he has 2 left. And now we're going to move on to Death Guard turn 2, and this is where they're going to come back, I think. End of Death Guard turn 2, and you might be able to see kind of like down there that there are snake eyes. We'll go into why that is and why I left it there to show you what it was for in a second here. It diminished the results of Death Guard turn 2, let's put it that way. But anyway, the Plague Marines moved away from their destroyed Rhino, very annoyed, and they split their shots. The one with the plasma gun overcharged and shot at the Dreadnought. Did damage, put the Dreadnought down to 6 wounds remaining, but still perfectly fine. The rest of them, the ones that are closest, rapid fired. The rest of them just shot once. Into the Hellblasters, ineffective again. I was counting them as having a cover save as well, so their save was improved, not that it made a difference really to the result. One Hellblaster took 1 wound. Over here, as we come across to the other side of the battlefield, Bloat Drone moved up, fired both his Plague Spitters, took out 1 Intercessor Marine, wounded another, didn't do their morale test, so bear with me while I grab a die. 4, 5, 6, they're totally fine. The multi-melter from the Hellbrute also fired, totally whiffed, but it was at the Intercessors as well. The Nurglings, I'm not going to say they're cowering, but they kind of came round here and advanced sideways-ish to kind of get out the line of fire. So they're hiding there. Zombies moved up, Malignant Plaguecaster put the buff on the Bloat Drone again, although probably not going to matter. Bell Guy, just moving up, not really doing much. Lord of Contagion still did not come down. So the Snake Eyes was unfortunate, because that was the Plague, not the Plague Drones, sorry, the Chaos Spawn doing their charge. They announced their charge. That means that against the Intercessor squad here, they got to fire Overwatch. Overwatch was fairly ineffective, but did 1 wound to the front one, so he's only got 1 wound left. Their charge was Snake Eyes. So they didn't make it, they're stuck there with their pants down. Which is very bad for them, because Chaos Spawn still excel in close combat and not much else. They have a 6+ save, they have no guns. So not as good a turn as it could have been, and now we move on to Space Marine turn 2. End of Primaris Space Marine turn 2, and a lot has happened, so we'll just start at the left of the board and work our way along. The Dreadnought and the Hellblasters shot into the Plague Marines. The Hellblasters did not overcharge this turn. As it turns out, it didn't matter anyway. They wiped out the Plague Marines with exactly enough wounds, which is a massive blow. Unfortunately, they didn't get to do anything really, apart from wound the Dreadnought once. Up there, the Inceptors decided to drop in. They shot into the back of the Chaos Spawn unit, as did the Intercessors who are directly in front of them, as did the Captain in Gravis armor, as did the Ancient, and they wiped out the Chaos Spawn before they got a chance to do anything either, which is a great shame as well. Over here, the Whirlwind, if I remember rightly, it also shot at the Chaos Spawn, but did not actually contribute to their deaths, sadly. Actually, maybe they didn't fire at all and I have to do that. I will need to try and remember between turns. If they do anything in particular, we can go over it. Either way, the other Interceptor squad moved up, as did the Lieutenant here and the Lieutenant here. The Intercessors shot at the Nurglings, killed another base, did 4 wounds, so it's just the base with 3 wounds left that's sitting there. Hellbrute was undamaged. That's about it for shooting. In the assault phase, this Lieutenant with the power sword, in an insane act of heroism or stupidity, opted to charge the Blight Drone. Took 1 wound from Overwatch on the way in, so he's down to 4. In combat with the power sword, dealt 1 wound to the Bloat Drone, received nothing back, so the Bloat Drone has 9 wounds left. So that's all the Space Marines on the board, and they wiped a lot of chaos off the board. Nurgle is not happy, but we'll see what happens in Chaos turn 3, unless there's also a quick addendum for the Whirlwind. Yeah, as a quick addendum, the Whirlwind did not fire, totally forgot to do it. However, I don't feel it's right to kind of retroactively roll for hits now, because honestly it probably would have shot at the Chaos Spawn unit. There's no way to tell whether or not the shots saved would have been used elsewhere to any effect. So we're just going to say, whoops, forgot to fire them, move on to turn 3. Addendum, the Plague Marines are not actually wiped out. Totally forgot that the Plasma Marine, who was right at the back, actually lived, so he is still alive. Probably not going to make a difference in the grand scheme of things, although we'll see, but he is actually still alive. End of Death Guard turn 3, and turns are already going quickly, largely thanks to the severe losses that the Death Guard have had. However, the Plague Marine I had to do the addendum about surviving actually did something. I overcharged his plasma gun. He shot into the Dreadnought, did another wound or two. Either way, the Dreadnought is down to 4 wounds. The Lord of Contagion finally decided to join the field right at the back of deployment. He tried to charge the Whirlwind, because I think you can do that now from whatever equivalent of the old Deep Strike role existed. Sorry, my OCD means I have to correct that bit of scenery that got knocked. Either way, he failed, so he is still just kind of standing there. He doesn't have a gun, so he couldn't shoot anyway. A lot of stuff happened here. The bloat drone moved back because it has flies, so it's allowed to fall back and fire. It did so. It put the lieutenant down to 2 wounds. The zombies actually managed to make a charge into the lieutenant. He killed one of them, they didn't kill any of him. I only fought with the ones that were within 1 inch, and then at the end of combat, the rest piled in 3 inches. I believe that's right, so that the next combat round in the Space Marines Turn 3, more of the zombies can actually hit back. I think that's done correctly. Either way, the Hellbrute shot its multi-melter, killed the intercessor that had 1 wound outright, melted him into paste, charged into combat, killed the other 2, so he's now free to move. It's just the other lieutenant that's standing in his way. The Nurgle stayed hiding, the Nurglings stayed hiding because they can't really do much. Bell Guy moved up, also can't do very much. The Malignant Plaguecaster tried to cast Curse of the Leper on the Inceptors and totally failed his attempt to cast it. Didn't do any, oh, he shot his bolt pistol as well and didn't do anything with that. Fairly effective turn, maybe. And we'll see how this goes in turn 3 for the Primaris Space Marines. End of Space Marine turn 3, I think we're up to. Yeah, that sounds about right, maybe. Anyway, the Inceptors moved in, they shot the Plaguecaster, left him on 2 wounds, they then charged him and killed him in combat, so he is down. I don't know if there's any kind of like free movement after you win at combat anymore. So if there is, tell me, do you get the 3-inch move? Although in the rulebook that's just for consolidation during combat, I think. So I think they're stuck there, but I'm not 100%. I've left him there because I'm erring on the side of caution. Over in this combat, there wasn't much shooting incidentally, that's why I'm kind of focusing on the close combat. The lieutenant managed to kill 1 Poxwalker. The pile-in happened on their turn in the combat. Ridiculous number of attacks, it was 18 times 2 I think. Killed him, outright dead, unfortunately. Things not looking too bad over this side. The Intercessor squad that is unharmed split their shots. The 2 facing left shot at the final Plague Marine together with the captain in Gravis armour. They killed him, so they're wiped out. 3, they couldn't shoot the zombies because they were in combat, so they opted to shoot at the Hellbrute and did not hurt him. And there's the dead Plague Marine, just to show you that he is very much dead. Hellblasters turned around, as did the Dreadnought. They all shot into the Lord of Contagion. Pardon me while I try and get in here. They unleashed upon him, and despite his better disgustingly resilient roll, they left him on 2 wounds. The Whirlwind shot at the Hellbrute as well, because the Lord of Contagion is actually in his minimum distance, so he can't fire the missiles at him because he's too close. Didn't do anything to the Hellbrute. So that is it for turn 3. Next couple of turns, assuming it even gets to turn 5, it's going to be super quick. So let's move on to Death Guard turn 4. End of Death Guard turn 4, and because it was a very quick turn, I'm just going to mix the shooting and physical combat, or close combat rather, phases together. When faced with the choice, the Lord of Contagion opted not to go after the Dreadnought because that would leave him in double fire range, or rapid fire range rather, of the Hellblasters. So he moved as close as he could get to the Whirlwind. He then successfully charged the Whirlwind. He took no damage in combat and got the Whirlwind down from 10 wounds to 7. Actually, I just realised it may not be 10 because I think I accidentally looked up Rhino again thinking this was a Rhino. Either way, he did 3 wounds. I'll adjust the wound counter if necessary. Over here, the Hellbrute moved around the corner to finish up the Lieutenant, who kind of ran away a little bit. Over here, Nurglings just kind of moved up a little bit, as did the Bell Guy. Over here, the Fetid Bloat Drone fired into the Inceptors first, killed one of them, Then he charged, in combat killed another one. I believe he took 1 wound on Overwatch and 1 wound in the combat, so he's down to 7, but it's just the sergeant who is left alive there, as I knock over a gun by mistake. The Poxwalkers moved in, successfully charged the Intercessors. One of them went down on two Overwatch on the charge in. In combat, they did not manage to deal any damage to the Space Marines, and the Space Marines returned damage by killing 4 more of them. So that's a stalemate, I guess, kind of. The zombies are going to keep them tar-pitted for a little while. Other than that, though, we're going to go into Space Marine turn 4 now and see what happens. At the end of Space Marine turn 4, here's kind of an almost overhead shot of the battlefield. Again, mixing close combat and shooting together here because the turns are going very quickly. One misplay that I think possibly could have been done, the Whirlwind, also I did get the wounds for it wrong, I had one more than I said. I think it could have fallen back. I don't remember when fallback happens. I think it happens after the shooting phase, but if it had fallen back from the Lord of Contagion, there's a chance, a very, very small chance, that maybe the Lord of Contagion would not still be in combat, which means on the final Space Marine turn, he might get shot off the table. As it is right now, the Whirlwind stayed in combat, did not hurt the Lord of Contagion. The Lord of Contagion smacked the Whirlwind real hard with his Plague Reaper or whatever it's called. The Whirlwind has 2 wounds left and can basically do nothing now. They're still locked in combat though, which means that the Lord of Contagion cannot be shot at until the combat is resolved, unless someone with a pistol gets close enough and also joins the combat. Which is what is trying to happen here with the Ancient, the Primaris Ancient and the Captain in Gravis Armor both kind of backtracking, because if they get the kill on the Warlord, then that's great. In the meantime though, the Hellblasters overcharged. Again, none of them were able to roll a 1 to kill themselves, thanks to being so close to the Captain. Oh wait, no, actually no, the Lieutenants are dead. They just didn't roll any 1s this time. Didn't mean to flick my wrist in kind of like a acknowledgement there either. The Dreadnought also fired into the Hellbrute. We're not going to get to see what happens when a Hellbrute rages as a result of getting a wound, because he took enough wounds to die, unfortunately, so he is destroyed. I believe the Ancient took a pot shot at the last Nurgling base there and missed it. Combat here, the Fed Block drone killed the Inceptor. He is dead, he didn't do any damage back, so he's still sitting on 7 wounds. He's now free to do what he wants on the final Death Guard turn in a second. The zombie combat, zombies managed to deal 1 wound, so I can't quite see it, but this Primaris Marine has 1 wound remaining. And in return, the Primaris Marines killed 4 zombies. Combat is still ongoing. We're moving on to the final turn. It's going to be super quick, so we'll come back in a second for Death Guard turn 5, their final turn. End of Death Guard turn 5, and really the only thing that matters is a bit of a rules conundrum, because as it stands right now, prior to the start of turn 5, the Primaris Space Marines got first blood in the form of the Rhino that's dead on the far end of the table over there. The Death Guard currently have Linebreaker, which means they're in the Space Marine deployment. Both the Lord of Contagion is in the deployment, as is the surviving Nurgling base. Now it is possible, because there's 1 more Space Marine turn to go, Nurgling could die, so could Lord of Contagion, but it only really matters if the Lord of Contagion dies, because the Warlord dying gives up an extra point. So it basically came down to the Lord of Contagion does not want to kill the Whirlwind, because otherwise he would be free to be shot at on the final Space Marine turn. I read the rules. The rules say anyone who is within 1 inch of an enemy model can fight, does not say must fight. So I think this is fine within the rules, even though it's quite tacky. But the Lord of Contagion chose not to fight, so that he's still locked in combat and therefore cannot be shot off the table very comfortably by all the surviving Space Marines over here. I think this is all working within the rules. If it is, it's tacky, but it works. So that's what happened. Other than that, the Fetid Block Drone, I moved it up with the intention of it firing at the Captain. Misjudged how close it was. It's actually out of range barely, so couldn't fire. Combat here, Primaris Marine that already had 1 wound took another wound, so he died. In return, the Space Marines took out 4 zombies. That's it. So as we go into Space Marine turn 5, really again, the only thing that matters, the Dreadnought could potentially charge into the the Lord of Contagion and kill him. He's not built for close combat though, but really that's the only thing that matters. I guess potentially also the Nurglings getting shot off the board, so I will play the turn, we'll see what happens and be back in a second. So here we are at the end of Space Marine Turn 5, which is the final turn of the game. And as I said, the only thing that matters is what happens with the Lord of Contagion. So we're going to quickly do the final step of that live on camera. The Dreadnought tried to charge in. There's his charge roll right there. He got a 4. That's not 4 inches. So the Dreadnought could not join the combat. The Primaris Ancient did, however. That's his charge roll. He got 10. Made it in easily. So it all comes down to whether or not the Primaris Ancient, which I wish was painted now because this is the dramatic showdown, is able to deal 2 wounds to the Lord of Contagion. Doesn't even matter if the Lord of Contagion hits him back and kills him, that won't award points. All that literally matters is whether or not he kills him. He gets 4 attacks, he hits on 3s, so that's a miss, but those 3 hit. He wounds on 5s because it's strength 4 versus toughness 5 I believe. Even if it's toughness 6 it's still hitting on 5s. He rolled fantastically and got 3 wounds, so now the Lord of Contagion has to do saves. Let me get my Nurgle dice for this. So it's 3+ saves I believe for the Lord of Contagion. Even if it was 2 pluses or 3 pluses, there's no AP, so he actually just outright saved them. Just in case I'm wrong and say it is a 4+, I don't think it is, but even if it was, his improved Disgustingly Resilient would have saved him. So that means the Lord of Contagion lives. Would he have killed the Ancient on the hit back? Honestly, probably would have just hit the tank just to explode it for fun, although its resulting explosion could actually kill him. Tempted to do that now, actually, but no, we'll resist. So also, the captain moved a tiny bit just to see if he could actually reach and shoot at the Nurglings, but his 12-inch gun can't reach. So the Nurglings gave Linebreaker either way. So as it stands, Death Guard got Linebreaker because they have a unit, well they have 2 units in enemy deployment. Space Marines have nothing, pardon me, in the Death Guard deployment. However, they got First Blood in the form of the Rhino. Even if the Rhino didn't count, they also got First Blood in the form of the Chaos Spawn, if that's the case. So either way, that's a 1-1 draw. Neither Warlord is dead again, although Chaos very nearly lost theirs. So it's a draw. It's a 1-1 draw again, although Space Marines definitely controlled the battlefield better here. Largely thanks to the Hellblasters here, basically having nothing that could touch them well enough. Hindsight, maybe should have just sent the bloat drones straight in after them. You see, Chaos have Havocs, which are kind of like heavy weapon guys, and Obliterators, which are heavy weapon Terminators. Death Guard is no longer allowed to use either, and they would have been my go-to to handling something like this, an entrenched heavy weapon position on the enemy team. So unfortunately, there was just nothing on the Death Guard side to deal with the Hellblasters being entrenched in cover, with great guns, being so close to a captain and lieutenant prior to them dying that they got to reroll 1s on wounds and hits, as long as the 2 units remained within 6 inches. Although I guess it could be argued, if it were being very rules lawyery, the top guy, like the guy at the very top and maybe the guy on the second floor, they shouldn't have been getting those boosts because I think each gap counts as 2 or 3 inches of movement. Either way, that's the nitty-gritty stuff that isn't too important. Hope you enjoyed this fun game though. It's a draw again. If you would like to let me know in the comments, who would you rather see in the next battle report? Would you like to see either Primaris Space Marines or Death Guard? And would you like to see them go up against either Tyranids or Tau? You can let me know. Thank you for support. If you notice anything I did wrong or might have done wrong, let me know and I'll read up on it. Thank you, and hopefully see you next time. Ta-ta for now.